On season one. I don't know what you want to call this.
We are the
Bias,
biased but not biased
bias,
F1
F1
podcast.
podcast. I am your host, Trinell. If you want to call me whatever you want to call me T. I like it. I like that a lot better. It's a lot easier. It's a lot. It flows off the tongue better and a lot easier for you to remember. Um, I don't know what you want to call yourself. You can want to go by
Well,
Def.
my name
Me.
is Devin, but you could just call me C. Everybody else calls me C, so just call me C. So if you also wanted to call it the T and C, biased but not biased F1 podcast, that's
There we go.
exactly what you could call
There we go. It works.
it.
It works. I like that. But honestly, quick rundown. We're gonna be very honest on what we're talking about as far as Formula One, but just like any person, we have our favorites. I
Yeah.
actually have a favorite. Lewis Hamilton is the bee's knees for me right now, and Mercedes can do no wrong in my eyes. But
Hey,
again, I'm gonna definitely be honest and fair with my reviews and everything that I have here.
I'm the same way. First of all, I've been a lot of people for all the new viewers out there who are not my friends, but you will be fans. But anybody who knows me, I've been watching racing for I'm gonna say God knows how long. I'm gonna say since I was like a toddler, and anyone who's known me knows I'm the guy who's in the basement watching like British touring car tapes and rally
Seriously,
tapes and F1 tapes and stuff
remember
like
those
that. But I
days.
pretty much grown up. Yep, you know me, pretty much growing up. I remember when I was like friends would come over, they're like, "Oh, let's watch a movie." I'm like, "Not even that. Let's just
No.
watch a British story card." My friends are like, "What are you doing? Like, why are we watching this?" I'm like, "No, dude, we have to watch it. Look how they drive." And you're like, "Yeah, so you just pop in a Ninja Turtle tape and we can watch that." Like, come on, guys. But no, I've been watching it for a while. When when I started, I was I'm gonna say when I started watching F1, I was a uh, Schumacher fan, right? And then I switched
Like a lot of people.
because, well, no, because the thing about it is I switched because I saw Juan Pablo Montoya in karting, and I was a big fan of BMW. When BMW came into the sport, I was like, all right, man, I guess I'm gonna have to switch my allegiances here because BMW is here. And I started following BMW, and I was a big Juan Pablo Montoya fan. And when Ralph Schumacher came in, I was like, okay, it's the Schumacher brother, Eli, like Peyton Eli, you know what I mean? I get that, but it definitely wasn't like that. And I just enjoyed it. I started to like enjoy it because of just seeing Ferrari's dominance, seeing BMW come up, see just all these different teams come up when the sport was like hitting its high. And when Lewis came on the scene, I was like, man, this kid looks just like me, and he's like just coming on the scene. And then I watched him in GP2, and I was like, man, this kid, he's got it. And me and my dad, I was telling my dad about it because my dad was like into Formula One, but he didn't really know too much. But then when we started keeping an eye on Lewis, and I was like, Dad, this kid is the bee's knees. And when he came in, we were just Lewis fans. But like you said, um, I've been following the sport for years. I'm a Lewis fan. Um, Loved Mercedes when they were McLaren. You know, I we have a lot of debates which we're going to bring up another time, but I'm not going to pan this out for too long. Big Lewis fan, but at the same time, I still respect all the other drivers. I still respect what they do, where they come from, their different backgrounds, what they've achieved. And at the same time, I'm biased, but I'm not biased. You know what I mean? Hence why we call the podcast what it is. I'm gonna be truthful, you know what I mean? And this is how we do it.
Absolutely, man.
So
So yeah, I mean, while everything is been said and cleared out in the air right now, as far as how the show is gonna run, I think it's prime time we just hop into kind of what happened over the this past testing. Some interesting things. A lot of people caught on fire.
yeah, which is absolutely normal in an F1 car and testing.
Absolutely. Anytime you have a new rule change, especially one that's drastic, you're going to expect a few car fires and a few hydraulic leaks. But very interesting for what it happened or who it happened to.
It doesn't even have to be a real change. I remember back in the day when Ferrari was tested and their cars caught on fire. So and that was in the great Schumacher. So
The
I
great
think it
Schumacher.
happens during testing because you keep these engines in the facilities and you're testing them on these computers, but then when you really get them out there and they're dealing with the turning and the G-force and everything else, you get your ups and your downs. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and it's
So
not even that. It's also too like you got to think about it. All the testing prior to actually running these cars were done in wind tunnels with 3/4 scale cars. There was no actual G forces even being put onto the brakes, which is what's causing a lot of these fires. What's happening right now because people's brakes. I mean, you can't simulate, heat on brakes in a
yeah,
testing. So, but interesting for day one. Who was it on top? Pierre Gasly and the Alpha Fury. Now, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna. This is gonna be one of the teams I want to follow this season. Interesting. As far as to see where they can put this car. Last year they were somewhat mid pack, fighting for around like between 13th to 15th. I think they could put this car up a lot farther this year. Probably, hopefully, break into like the tens and win some races.
can I be real?
Be real, be honest.
Can I be real? AlphaTauri will always be a mid pack car, and no, not trying to diss them, not trying to say anything, but we all know who the daddy is when it comes to Red Bull.
Of
So
course. I mean, it's gonna be they're always gonna be the sister team, and they're not. I don't think they're gonna be ever knocking for a fighting spot in the top three. But as far as pushing up into at least the top 10 to kind of give them give Red Bull a little extra edge if they have to, pull a rule change thing and push a car back in a few places, and hey, let's get some little blocking. Be sister team,
no, no, you're right. And the one thing about AlphaTauri that I always take my hat up to is they always tend to surprise. If they don't do it for one season, that to me they haven't had a good season, but they always seem to surprise or bring up like really good
a random
really good
race.
drivers. No, no,
They'll
no, no.
have
I
a
mean,
random
they
race.
like really good drivers and really
Yeah.
good. I they feel like this. They've always had really good machinery, so I think that they'll be good. I think they'll be definitely a good mid pack car. So I think they'll be definitely competitive. I see them and out. I you know I know they're Alpine, but in my heart, in my eyes, they will always be Renault. I think them and Renault will be dicing it up in the mid pack.
Okay, that's fair.
Top.
How about them Ferrari boys?
Um, can I say, coming from seeing Ferrari during testing, through all 3 days of testing, I thought they were phenomenal.
Yeah,
But this is, like I said, this is just testing,
it is.
because we've seen in the past where cars do absolutely phenomenal in testing and they look quick, and you're just like, man, this is going to be they're going to be very good. And then they come to the first two races. They come out of the first two races and you're like, okay, well, you did okay. So let's see the kind of pace that you said you were going to show us. And then they kind of just
Womp
falter off.
womp
So
womp womp. Right.
pretty much. So I just want to see, for like, to me, I think Ferrari will do good. I think this is Charles Leclerc's season. I said this earlier when we were talking. I said this is his year. He can win the championship. I can see him winning the championship. I can see, Ferrari. I could see Italy going all red. You know what I mean? Because that's just them.
The
But
Tifosi would
I,
lose their absolute ever living mind if there was any
oh, yeah,
hope, any hope of any one of those boys winning a championship.
yeah.
But
I just think that I think they're ready. I think they kind of let go of last year's car, and they were kind of like, all right, let's concentrate on this new one, because
they've honestly,
we
to me, they let go of that car at the end of 2020. They were like, you know what, we already know what we need to do is focus on 2022. So
Mm-hmm.
2021, we're gonna leave you alone. We're gonna run the same. Actually, they ran the same spec car they did previous year. So they're like, you know what, take this. You can take your L. We're gonna take our L. We're gonna bow out gracefully, and focus on the following year, which is kind of an interesting thing for them to do. But they weren't fighting for a championship anyway, with like Mercedes and Red Bull were. So they didn't really have to keep up with that massive development train that both of those
Yeah.
teams had to do. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, just looking at the times over the weekend, consistently, Charles Leclerc has been in the top three, or at least the Ferrari between Ferrari, definitely have split the top three. But again, it's just preseason testing, so um,
So I'm willing to see what, like I said, I'm willing to see what they do because, like I said, to me, what I've learned, like I said, what I've learned over the years is that it all comes down to that those
that
first
first
three
Friday,
races.
that first practice one, what do you want to call
Mm-hmm.
it? That's gonna definitely show a lot of people gonna really shaking off those sandbags. Speaking about sandbags, I
Loved
think
your meme.
I think about those sandbags. What Sir Lewis was saying, that they don't feel like they're going to be fighting for a race win in these first couple of races, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting. I mean, they're still fighting that porpoising issue, so that can definitely be
Mm-hmm.
something
I think
that's.
every team is doing this.
But I was literally just watching videos here on day 3 of the final hours of testing, and it literally looked like they were in a South Side lowrider going through going through Cholo bouncing up and down. It was seriously like seriously going up and down. So interesting to see how and what teams to do to kind of fix that issue, because that's going to be a big thing throughout the entire test, and you got to figure that every track is different. And think about those the road courses where are super bumpy. It's going to definitely I think the ground effects is going to hurt a lot of teams um with their expectations on those tracks, because if they can't rein it in on a smooth surface, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
rough on a bumpy surface.
Yeah,
So
especially like Monaco, where like the whole, it's like it's street.
it's a
So
street,
I mean,
Monaco, and then well, what's the what else do you have?
can we jump into McLaren real quick because I
Yeah.
thought that McLaren had it down. I was like, wow, they got it down, and then they just, like, to me, just fizzled out. Like they started off like I was like, man, they look good, they look competitive, you know what I mean, and they look like they got everything down. But then I feel like the past like 2 days in practice, they just like kind of fizzled out, and they were just okay. And maybe they were also sandbagging, you know what I mean? But
Um,
I always have high hopes for McLaren because, like I said, I loved McLaren back in the '90s with Mika Hakkinen. They just got it right, and
so
for
I
the
th-
longest, you know.
I think that's what it was with McLaren over the weekend. They were running, look, as far as the tires that they set their fastest times on. C2 was on Friday or Thursday, excuse me.
Mhm.
Then Friday, excuse me. Then he had the C5 C4 tires. She's on Saturday, and then, or what do you want to call it, Sunday morning, we're running C4, which is like the second softest tire. So again, I think everybody was just running different programs throughout the weekend. So these times that we're seeing that are all over the place are not going to be indicative of where we're going to see people running on the regular season. Because look, Lando, he did 90 laps on the last day. So he definitely
Mhm.
was doing some race testing on that one. Um, Same thing, 60 laps the day before on the C3. So yeah, but they were consistently in the middle. They were like eighth, um, eighth for Lando, and yeah, eighth and ninth between the last 2 days. But again, that's just
And the thing about it is that I feel like with because Lando Norris he was quick on day one, but he just kind of fizzled out. Well, he got what he wanted. He was like, "Oh, I wish we weren't that fast." And it's like, dude, don't jinx yourself. Don't jinx yourself. Like, I understand what you're trying to do, and everybody's trying to be like, "Oh, we're so slow," but like,
But he slowed it
just
down
drive.
because he ended up sixth. He ended up sixth on that day. So, and they were on
Which
a
is
hard
what he
time.
wanted. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're not that fast. That means we could." Because trust me, everybody, I'm telling you, everybody is like, "Hey, keep it in the lowest setting," because all we're trying to do is get consistency.
Right.
But I mean, they were good. They were good.
I give it to him, but you know what? Poor Daniel. I think this is gonna definitely hurt him being sick. What they said he got the COVID vid. He got the COVID vid.
Yeah,
So I mean, but I think he's gonna be back before the first race, so he should be all straight.
he should be straight. But the thing that's going to hurt him is that he hasn't got enough testing in the car. So I don't see him. And maybe you never know with anybody, but maybe he might come out and be competitive, and maybe But I think what we've learned with Lewis catching COVID is that it takes a toll on your body. You know what I mean? And
yeah, you have to be really physically fit to be able to just bounce back from that, because I personally had it in my fat ass, excuse my language. I was out of commission for like a good week afterwards. So I can definitely imagine these guys that are putting in hundreds of laps, doing G forces throwing their body all over the place and doing all this other stuff. And I'm sorry. I don't think, the way my body is built, that I would ever be able to survive in Formula One. It's gruesome, man. It's gruesome what they go through. As far as
because you're dealing with all the G force, and anybody who knows racing will tell you, even if you're a weekend racer, when you're coming through the corner and you're being tossed, and we're not going at one speed, but you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? You know how it is. So I mean, I tell people, even if you go to like one of those cheap go-kart tracks and you're flying through and your adrenaline is kicking in, you imagine doing that in an F1 car, like
a Formula One car. Imagine taking a corner doing 110, and that's a normal thing for you, right? Yeah. Okay.
Hey.
All right, cool. So where we are now, Alpine.
Okay. I thought we were going to talk about my favorites. We just talk about my favorites. Let's just talk about Haas. Let's just get it out the way. First and foremost, I'm going to say this now. Whoever doesn't want to be with me, it's cool. I stand with Ukraine. I'm just saying that. I'll leave it that way. I'm not going into any politics or anything like that. And I'm not saying that Nikita Mazepin didn't deserve the seat. All I'm saying is that he just wasn't a consistent driver. Daddy money is what kept him in the seat. We all see that daddy money is basically what kept him in the seat. You know what I mean? So personally, I just feel like, having Kevin Magnussen in, to me, is just a better move all around. I'm sorry. So it's just a better move all around.
Well, yes, I agree with you, and absolutely. So definitely stand with Ukraine on this whole situation, because it is definitely wild what's going on across the world, and my heart goes out to everybody that's having to deal with that. But it was 100% evident that daddy's money was keeping him in the seat, because honestly, if you consistently last in any sport, I think that a team is going to look to replace you if they can. And I think what they were holding on to was his money.
Exactly. And you can see that, because if you go down the line of all the drivers that came throughout the years, look,
Alex Albon wasn't a bad driver. And what did Red Bull do? Red Bull was like, oh, they asked him. They were like, oh, we're going to bump you down to, the sister team. And then, oh, wait, you're not consistent there. So gone.
And then on top of it, look at it, because the only thing that is tough with that, because you and me agreed that year that, Sergio Perez was he earned that
He
seat for Red
definitely
Bull
did.
because he drove his ass
Ass
off,
off.
and I was like, yo, how does this guy not like? Don't get me wrong. You had a bad couple of races, but you ended up bouncing back. You won a race, and then you kept it consistent. And I
Throughout
was
the
like,
rest of the
damn,
season.
dude, I was like, yo, if he doesn't get another seat, because I told, because me personally, if he was in Mercedes, I feel like it'd be done. He'd be pushing for a championship. He'd be
Absolutely.
pushing for a championship.
I feel so too. I think he got caught up with this last season with the Max and Lewis fight. That's why he wasn't really in his own contention for a run-in. But I think once he gets a free reign to kind of do what he needs to do, it's going to be off to the runnings. But we're going to get to him in a second. So, like I said, Haas with
Yeah,
now Magnussen
had to
and
be real.
and Schumacher Jr.
Yes.
It's gonna. I think that's gonna be a definitely good look for them. I think they're definitely gonna start to climb up the ladder of where they're placing. Not consistently at the back of the grid, but somewhere into that middle of the grid. Finally.
It's tough because I just feel like it's between them and it's gonna be between. I feel like it's gonna be between them and Williams, and it's sad because like I said, I've been watching F1 for a long time, so I've seen the high in Williams. You know what I mean?
Definitely
And I've
true.
seen
Absolutely.
for me, this is the lowest. But I just feel like it's gonna be between Williams, Alfa Romeo, and Haas battling for those, battling for those
Final.
positions.
Those final
I think
spots.
Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo with the new Chinese guy. What is his name? Guang Zhou. Again, money. I think brought him a lot into the sport. Yes, he won some races in FP2, F2. But again, I definitely think that's a seat that was bought, less earned. But
it
we'll
blows
see.
my mind too because there's a lot of GP2 drivers. The GP2 champion can't even get a seat, bro. That's what's crazy. And Formula One has always been like, hey, we got this good kid. He's consistent. You know what I mean? He at least won the championship, or he had, to me, it's just like you get those guys who like who's showing that they can prove it, and it's like money is the thing that was keeping everybody. Oh, God, I'm sorry, man. I'm rambling, and we should be getting on with the test.
But it's the truth. It's kind of the way the sport is going. That's kind of where it's going. But it's unfortunate. But hey, money's running F1 right now.
No, it's the truth. It just hurts because you look at like how Kimi Räikkönen came through. You look at how Sebastian Vettel came through. You even look at Hamilton. Hamilton came from nothing, bro. And then he basically, his lucky shot was that someone looked at him and was like, yo, you did all this, you achieved all this. Let me just give you a shot. And then he basically did it. And you know what kills me? And I'm sorry. And I always go into this rant. Everyone talks about, oh, the McLaren was the best car. I'm like, yo, my guy, did you not watch the season before that?
You weren't watching that season.
They didn't win any race. They didn't win any race. They were the most inconsistent car throughout the whole season. Hence why Kimi Räikkönen left. And I was like, yo, and then when you had Lewis come in, because I think Lewis was going to come in and then they were going to swap him out with another driver, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was quote me if I'm wrong, I think it was Della Rosa they were going to swap him with throughout the rest of the season if he didn't do good. And he showed up. And that's what I'm saying, dude. They showed up because McLaren finally got the consistency of the car that they showed. Because the season before that, you know what? I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're sticking on test.
We'll save that.
I get so passionate because
we'll save that for the Mercedes Lewis episode.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. To me, it just kills me because like you see these people and it's like, dude, you guys are newcomers, bro. You never watched. Like I sat there and watch that season.
They have those people that have
Alonso won the championship.
They have people that they see. There's a few type of people that watch Formula One. There's people that are generally lovers of the sport and have been following it for years, Then you have the people that come on when there's in the middle of the season when everything is starting to heat up, or then you have those people that really just are just following it because of the flashy highlights that happens, and then they don't really see the or know much about the history of about a few things to kind of speak intelligently, but they're speaking loudly because they're because
and that's the thing that kills me, bro. Is like, just pay attention to the sport. Yes, don't get me wrong. Every team has their error.
yeah,
Ferrari had
absolutely.
their error. Aaron had their error. Williams had their error. You know, down
just,
to Lotus had their error. You know, everybody had their error. But what I'm saying is that yes, but just follow, bro. Just read.
be a fan of the sport. And I think, yes, you can be a fan of a particular team and driver, but also be a fan of the sport. And my thing is, if you're going to speak on a topic, know some information on it, or at least take the time out to kind of, do some history and reading up behind it. And yeah, you can still have your biases because, again, hence the name of the show. But I think you have to have an honest opinion and be just real with yourself. So,
and that's what made me fall in love with Ferrari in the beginning, because in the beginning, what made me fall in love with Ferrari was seeing when McLaren was dominating.
Yeah.
In I think it was 98, and Schumacher was trying his best and he couldn't. And in 99, when he was trying his best and he couldn't, you're just like, man, dude. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, dude, McLaren is just a superior car. And then the next season, he just came and just blitzed. And I was like, yo, that's what's up. You know what I mean? And
see, I was watching it on. I was watching it on. All right, cool.
We're totally
so moving on.
So
like I said, we got Alfa Romeo with their team. So now we have Alpine, Fernando Alonso, that guy.
I think they'll be good. I think they'll be competitive. Look, I'm really biased out because I have friends in Spain, and trust me, we've debated on this countless amount of times, and I won't go into it because they're gonna be like, "Oh, you just." It's like no.
No, I like him. He is a champion in his own right. He earned that title. But at the same time, I'm still mad at him because when I saw him at the 2018 hold on, it was it why am I drawing a blank right now? 2018 went to the god damn it, I'm gonna have to edit this shit out. Thinking about it.
No, don't edit it. Keep it in. When he did
no,
when he did Indy.
No, what was it? Indy? When he did the Daytona. Yes, we went to.
We went to
Rolex, and
yeah,
he just. We were like, hey, Fernando. He just kept on focusing, walk on by. Nah, I remember
that. That's okay. And we spoke about this the other night, and he had to. That's different. If it was like
race was
sign and greet,
I give it to.
Exactly. If it was a sign and greet, like when I met that, I'm not gonna say his name because I ranted on it last night. But when it was a sign and greet and you had said hey to him, it would have been different. He probably would have gave us a hat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like he's different.
Yeah.
But the only thing I don't like about him is I respect him and I don't like him. I respect him because he keeps the same energy. His hate his hate.
He's a true Spaniard to the core.
He's always hating, but I give it to him in the sense of like he did. Hey, 2-time world champion. He's not a one-timer.
You can't take that away from him.
He almost did it. He almost made it 3, but he got touched. You know what I mean? And then after he got touched, he started being a baby, and then he was like, "Oh, well, I'm going to do this." And then we're not going to talk about what happened in Singapore, where his team was like, "Oh, crash for me so we can get pole on the grid." Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. What I'm going to say,
you mean to tell me that Ferrari did something auspicious as that?
No, you don't remember that Ferrari. That's when he went to because you remember when he left McLaren, he went back to Renault. And then, because you remember, they were like, "Oh, come back to Renault," and he came back to Renault. But then after he Renault, then he signed Ferrari. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's how. But and he was good at Ferrari, like hands down. Like through the 4 years that Vettel was
there
his championships, he was the most competitive one. Except for I think the last year before Lewis left for McLaren, it was like a four-way dogfight, and I think Lewis was in the mix, but his McLaren gave out on him, and I think that was the decision he
And
had.
that was the McLaren's issue. That was the reliability, man, that they had. But all right, moving on. So we touched pretty much everybody except for AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri. I don't think we touched much on
Yeah,
them.
we spoke about Perry. You
All right.
remember we said that they were going to be a mid pack car.
That's
They'll
right.
always be a
Yeah,
mid pack.
with you,
Yeah.
yeah, with Yuki Tsunoda. Yeah. So I think Williams, Nicholas Latifi, and Esteban.
Can I say I feel bad for him? I feel
Yeah.
bad for Latifi because he got so many death threats. And
Yes.
if there's one thing, don't get me wrong. What
Yes.
happened. And
Yes.
trust me, we were pissed. We weren't even pissed. We could not face the music. That's what we couldn't do. But at the same time,
for a week, I was literally like, "Nah, this is not happening. Nah, we're gonna get a change."
Yeah, we'll jump into that in the next segment. But what I'm saying is, in the sense of he's a good driver.
Yeah,
he showed some good highlights last season. Latifi, I don't think he deserved what he got for what happened because it was an accident.
Absolutely, nobody deserves that. Yeah, it was a race accident.
Yeah, and then I ended up going back and rewatching the race, which was so, I don't know why I did it what I do to myself, but I do it because I love Formula One. I love racing cars. Yeah, so I ended up going back and like I said, truthfully, I was expecting more of a Toro Rosso to do it, but that didn't happen. So when that happened to him,
can I pause you there? Like, if it was a Toro Rosso, do you understand the amount of controversy, the amount of conspiracy theories that would still be going on right now if it was but yeah, continue on.
No, but you're right, and he's a good driver, and he showed it even with because if you think about it, last year with him and Russell, he was kind of driving it. He was up there with Russell, you know what I mean? Russell had great qualifying and he would drop off, but I have high hopes for Latifi. He's gonna be one of the drivers because I told you this year we're gonna be doing like a 3-driver watch.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be he's gonna be one of the drivers I'm gonna be watching out for him. But I got high hopes for him. Hopefully he could prove to earn a seat. Yeah. But you know,
that should be interesting.
Also you know who we didn't bring up, and I just thought about it, and maybe we could bring him up in the next section. Aston Martin.
Aston, yes. The green guys. Wow. Yes. Oh, so like, all right, cool. Interesting enough. Look, I'm looking at the times. They were kind of 4th, 5th, consistently throughout the 3 days. So interesting to see where they are. Again, are they going to be fighting? I think they're going to be fighting a lot with Ferrari. That I can tell you that much. Are they going to be fighting a lot against the Red Bull guys?
Maybe. I mean, it just depends on.
Interesting.
The thing about it is that it's going to be a silly season, and you know, one thing because normally, okay. So in what was it, 09? Because Lewis won 08, right? Lewis won 08, so 09 was Jenson Button. When that came in, and they had the rear diffuser and all that, it was kind of like, oh my God, nobody saw it coming, and they came up and won. And then you had all these other teams who weren't even that competitive, because if you think back, Red Bull really wasn't that competitive. They were there, but they really weren't that competitive. And just to see them come up and wrap up 4 championships, you know, boom. So
this is what we say is going to be it's going to be interesting to see because you got to think about it. Just last season, Aston Martin was nowhere near this kind of close to the front like they are now.
They didn't steal Ferrari's design. I mean, because you remember that one year where they, not Ferraris, I mean Mercedes. Remember that one year they had like the identical car Mercedes? I was like, what is going on? Is that what Air Force India? What are you doing? It's like they're not Air Force India.
They literally just hit the copy and paste button. They were like, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Oh, this looks good. Copy paste.
And then they were like, plagiarizing? We're not plagiarizing. Like,
See, yours has a curly S at the end. Ours has a backward
yeah.
curly S.
What's the difference? You guys have a Mercedes symbol. We don't have a Mercedes symbol. What are you talking about?
What?
It's like, come on. But I think Aston Martin. I have high hopes for them.
I like Lance Stroll. Can I say I like Lance Stroll? I like him as a personally. Listen, listen.
First of all, oh goodness, not trying to be that guy, but out of all the guys with the daddy money, yes, he is competitive. He is good. I don't know. The one thing I don't like about these
daddy privilege.
I don't want to be that guy. The thing about it is that if there's any new aero design or anything new, the first person they throw it at is the kid who got the money.
Of course.
The same thing they did with Nikita Mazepin when he came in. It's like, oh, Haas is going to have these new upgrades, but it's only going to go to Nikita Mazepin. It's like, come on, dude. What about the whole team? Like, I don't know. I just don't like it.
But they're not going to do that to Vettel, because Vettel, in his own right, is bringing his own money and his own championships points to the team. So again.
Like, we did it last year when they were like, oh, Aston Martin's getting these new upgrades, but Stroll is going to be the one to get it. And I was like, dude, don't just give it to everybody. Like, come on. Like, why are you? And then what happened? Stroll still came. He still didn't do good.
We're still getting beat by Vettel. But still, hey, listen. Out of like you said, out of all the bought seat drivers, he is the fastest out of the bought seat drivers.
Yes, he is. He is. I'll give you that. He is.
And I'll give him his right for that. So, and again, to be consistently fighting for a fifth or sixth spot in Formula One, that takes some shit. I'm sorry.
And he almost had a win last year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Or was that the year before?
I'm not too sure if it was last year or the year before, but again, he's definitely for a race win. So again, to be up there, you can't say that this Guangzhou guy is gonna do that. I'm sorry. I'm not giving
up his name. Then they're gonna call you racist. But
Guangzhou. I'm pronouncing it Guanyu. Guang Zhao. Zhou. Zhao. Guangzhou. I think I just heard Martin Brundle on Sky Sports mess his name up several times, so I should be fine.
It's Martin Brundle. You gotta give him that, because what another Meg the Stallion moment,
but all right, so on to the big dogs.
Let's take a break before we get on to the big dogs.
All right, cool. Pause.
And before we do that,
all right,
go.
So like I said, we got onto the big dogs now. Red Bull and Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Can I first off tip my hat to Sergio Perez and last season, and as much as it painfully hurts me to say that last race, Sergio, you made that car 7 cars wide. I'm
not even that, dude. Even the race before that.
Like,
you don't remember the race before that when he gave Max
the
that
toe?
slingshot.
Yeah, Max the toe. Yeah, absolutely, man. You did the number 2 thing to his core.
What
not
did
saying
we
that...
say we watched it? Shake and bake.
Shake and bacon, right? Absolutely, man. And again, as much as it pains for me to say this, Max, yes, you have officially been labeled the world championship here, and I'm gonna leave my biases on the table because we're still very early.
The thing about that, and I want to rant. I don't want to rant because I just don't want to do too much. Look, I give it to him. He did what he did. There's no questions asked.
Yeah.
You drove your ass off. You pushed Lewis like any other driver has. Like, the only person I've ever seen push Lewis like that was
Nico.
I'm gonna say Nico and yeah, I'll say
Vettel
Nico. Vettel pushed him, but Lewis, I think Lewis
found that chink in his armor because Vettel cracked a few times during that season where it was like, yeah.
Canada was one of them because Canada, when he came over on the grass and all that, I think what it is that Lewis was already like, he hit that stride where it was like 3 races in a row, like he had
And
won. And
there was nothing stopping him at that point.
yeah, exactly. And then it was just too much. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the year where they had that crash in Singapore.
It
where
was
like came up the middle and then like Kimmy hit him and then like took all 3 of them out. And you were just kind of like, there you
my
go.
guy.
Like,
What happened?
That happened. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
I don't know what to do with my hands type of moment.
exactly. So I'll take my hat off to him on those races. But on the last race, and I'm gonna keep saying but, all right, on the last race, everybody knows and everybody sees, and I'll leave it that way because we sat there and I was like, wait, what? And then you know what I hate? I hate when people say, "Oh, but Lewis could have pit." It was like, no, dude,
He couldn't have.
He couldn't have, because if Lewis pit, guess what would have happened? Max would have stayed out front, and then you know what would happen? Max could have blocked. Lewis could have done whatever, he dived, all that other stuff, and guess what would have happened? He would have crashed. It would have been done at the race, and that's it. It wouldn't have happened.
And as far as and with the time that Lewis would have came in the pits and came back out, he would have been too far and would have to fight. Again, it was not in Mercedes' logical wheelhouse for to pit him. What was the logical thing that Mercedes was thinking? That things were going to be as the rule book said they should be. But again,
look, can I bring up a great point? You remember the race? Was it? I think it was Russia. Was it Russia? I'm going to say Russia. Where was it Russia?
Where they allow the lap cars to unlap unlap themselves? Yes, it was Russia, and it was. Okay. That was a track, and yes, it was a moment where the race had to finish underneath the safety car because the cars needed to unlap themselves. So again, this can be a 2-hour-long conversation.
No, I know. And can I throw up another point for all those people out there? You remember that race where Norris was Norris was leading the race and Lewis was behind him and Norris was holding him, and then the rain came and Mercedes was like, "Don't worry about it. Pit now, pit now." And Lewis was like, "Why am I pitting now? We'll be good." And they were like, "Yo, pit now." What happened? He pitted and he ended up winning the race. So like Lewis said before, Mercedes is not an idiot.
No, absolutely not.
What they're doing, everything is to the T. This is not, and I keep telling people, McLaren is different from Mercedes. Yes, Mercedes McLaren was one at one point, but when Mercedes left, Mercedes was like, "Yo, all that bullshit, we don't deal with that. We are to the T." And anybody who knows Mercedes, look, I'm jumping, and we're jumping to Mercedes right now. Let's just get back to Red Bull.
All right, cool. So
I think they're going to be competitive. I think they're going to be running. I think Max is going to try and prove that this is him. Like, you know what I mean? Because he's going to say, you know, he's going to do like what Alonso did when Alonso won his first championship. Alonso's going to be like, "All right, let me cement myself now as the great."
True, but I think can I say a little try hard is going to come out, where I think Max is going to really try too hard to prove that he is this great driver that he now has in his head. That there's going to be some issues.
As long as he doesn't drive wild like he was doing last season, because last season he was wild and they were and then Lewis was wild too, and
but see, it took Lewis a while.
As long as they could be like, "Yo,"
it took Lewis a while to go off. It took him like, "Okay, hey Max, you're driving crazy. What's going on?" Okay, hey Max, wait a minute. We should be cordial about this. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, you real for real now?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, oh, you really doing this? Because like everyone's like, "Oh, but what happened in the British Grand Prix?" It was like, "Yo, in the British Grand Prix, it happened. Okay, they touched, boom,
move on."
They moved on, but then
Imola.
Max was doing it every other race. It was like every other race he was doing some wild stuff, and I was like, "Yo, Max," I was like, "I understand that you're trying to keep the sport competitive, bro, but you wilding right now, bro."
Correct. I
Yeah.
definitely feel as though, but again, I think so. Max can keep his head on, and I think Sergio should definitely have now, since there is no clear, okay, we need to win a championship. Sergio should have some free reign to go ahead and kind of play around and try to win some races.
Yep.
So moving on to the Mercedes boys.
Yep.
Okay. George Russell, man, new kid on the block. As
Hmm.
far as being in a Mercedes seat,
Hmm.
going up
Well, you
against the
can't say
GOAT.
his new kid because remember he drove when Lewis had COVID.
True, he did. But again, his first, I say, his first official full-time Mercedes seat.
Hmm.
Um, going up against the GOAT, and I
Hmm.
think it's definitely gonna be it's gonna be tough on him mentally. One being again full-time new Mercedes driver, and two, I think with going up against a 7-time world championship as a teammate, um, is he gonna have a lot to prove? Yes, just like every other driver that sat in that seat, they're gonna have a lot to prove, but.
Hmm.
Eh, I think he should be able to hold his own. Dare I say this? Bottas was not a bad driver. He just wasn't a consistently fast driver.
Um,
Um,
can I say that I just feel like with Bottas it was just more confidence. Like I feel like he needed confidence, and like I feel like he when he would have the confidence, couldn't touch him. But I feel like when he saw like when he saw like when he well, like when he saw something happen, like Lewis would pull out like a qualifying time, or Lewis would be like purple in some certain sectors, and he's seeing that his car is dropping off and stuff. He didn't have like that
edge to
cutting edge.
push it through.
Like, yeah, he it just feel like his confidence just got shot because me personally, like out of like all the co-drivers that Lewis has had besides Nico and Alonso, I mean, I thought he was pretty good. Like
He
he
was a great
wasn't bad.
driver.
Like
No,
he did his.
again, I'm not taking anything away from him because he definitely did his own. And if you look at the as far as points,
Notice I forgot one more driver, right? I didn't want to say his name because you know I don't like him, but we'll go with that.
the J Beaster.
What? What? Yeah. Look, you know what I'm talking about. I get on a rant with him and then it's done, dude. You gotta know. Like
But
don't lie, I would rather stomach watching the last race of last season.
on repeat.
Yeah, that's that's how much.
But I think, like I said, I think Russell's going to come in and really, at least turn some heads for what he is going to bring to Mercedes, because I think he's going to bring a certain level of confidence, and he's going to bring a certain level of youth. That keyword there, youth, to Mercedes, because unfortunately, the GOAT's going to go. And I think it's uh, if Russell can pick up those kind of seats and reins and kind of carry on that Mercedes winningness, then it should be a few more years Mercedes.
All I'm gonna say is as long as Russell does his job. Because at the end of the day, that's all we want you to do. We just want to see you drive, and we just want to see you get the best out of the car. That's all I want. I don't
Absolutely.
care about. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about you toe not hurt fitting in the car. I don't care about your back. I don't care about all that. All I want to see you. I want to see you drive like how I saw Sergio drive. The way how
Yes.
Sergio Perez drove last season
That was
is the way how I want to see, because the way how Sergio Perez was driving last season just to me was just like, yo, this is what who are you? Like
what's going
dude,
on? Wait a
like
minute.
I was rooting for him. Like it was a little piece of my heart that was like, go Sergio, let's do this.
I
You know what
was
I mean? Because
definitely
I love to see.
I was looking out
I
for
just
him.
love to see someone drive like that. And then like because you know what that brought me back to? That brought me back to the years of the 1 and 2 drivers of like Rubens Barrichello
Yeah.
and what's his name? David Coulthard when he was driving with Mika Hakkinen.
Yeah.
And you just had all those number 2 drivers who knew their job. Like, yo, this is your job. All we
Do it.
want you to do is just support. So
Absolutely.
if Russell goes in, and if Russell is hey, look, let's just say, Lewis gets a couple wins under his belt, and they're like, all right, we just need you to we want to see you win, but at the same time, we already know what the championship's about.
Yeah.
Throughout Formula One, that is always what it's been.
That's
The
always
champion.
good.
That's always been. That's what Ferrari always did. We're not going to sit here and speak because I love
debate that topic because they have
Ferrari
definitely broken clear rules to win championships.
Dude, you know what kills me is when I hear people online, they're like, "Oh, I miss the days of Ferrari," and it's like, dude, we're not gonna sit here and act like Ferrari didn't do some fraudulent shit, all right? We didn't sit here and act like Ferrari didn't do some. Oh, we're gonna go 1-2 at the line together. Oh, let's cross the line together and see who wins. Like, come on, guys, seriously, like,
come on.
And that's all. And that's all I'm saying is that I want to see Russell drive. If Russell wins the first 3 races, Lewis is gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna drive, but I'm still gonna support you.
Absolutely.
And that's the same thing with Russell. If Russell, I just want to see Russell drive. That's it. I just want to see you drive, be out there, be the young cat. Because I'm gonna tell you one thing: if Russell don't drive, Lando Norris is sniffing.
I think there's a lot of people that would definitely. I mean, everybody's chomping at a bit for Mercedes seat. That's kind of like, playing for the getting a spot at the Yankees, or somebody saying, "Oh man, hey, we're gonna give you the shot with the Lakers." You may ride the bench for like half the season, but hey, you're gonna ride. When you get in that game, you're gonna play. But
Exactly.
So I think we have like a minute left on this recording. Let me go ahead and just leave the last episode for the big dog.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let me pause this and get some drink. All right, cool. So now this the on to drum roll, please. Those Mercedes boys, man. We were kind of already on George Russell and his coming into the team and fitting in and finishing off where he wanted finishing off.
Hold on 1 second, dude. Pause it.
Yep.
What's up, bro? What's going on? My name is Devin, man.
So yeah, we got George Russell and our expectations for him down, and now Lewis. Obviously, man.
The
I honestly, I think this season he is literally going to be out for blood. I think there is not going to be any question as to his dominance and his driving prowess this season, because the whole media blackout through the whole winter break, that's definitely an ominous sign for anybody.
But I mean, he had to do that for his mental health, because because you got to see me and you already know, we see the comments, what I mean? So for him to have been dealt a blow like that, and then, because I mean, think about it, and we can go back in racing, we can go back to when Schumacher beat Damon Hill and the way he did. And if there was social media then, man, Schumacher would have been dragged through the mud. Damon Hill probably would never bounce back and win the championship the next season. But like, what I'm saying towards that is that, he had to. If he didn't, because they already criticized him. They criticized him when he went to Carnival and he was dancing. It was like, oh, who dances like that? It's like, come on, guys. If you guys have never been to Carnival, please do not talk. All right? Come on, seriously. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he's going to be scrutinized just like any great. Jordan was scrutinized.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's his name? Tom Brady is always scrutinized. You know what I mean?
Still don't like him, but he's still the great. He's still going to go down as one of the greats.
Look, as long as my team beat him, I'm good. Twice in a row, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, but we won't get into that. But all I'm saying is that I felt that was good, especially in this era of like dealing with mental health and making sure that you're good, because there's not a lot of people who can bounce back from that. But I think he's going to be ready. I don't think it's going to affect him too much, because he's dealt with this before, from when he was a little kid till now, you know what I mean? So I think he's very strong.
Absolutely. I definitely think that one, he has a strong backing behind him between his dad and his brother, as far as, being able to keep him mentally in a space, is because, you see how his dad ran up to him
Mhm.
immediately after the race. It was like, remember
For the old days.
the old days, you know what I mean? So, it's definitely gonna be one of those moments where he had to kind of take that time off to clear his head, and I think, get into a mental space to come into this season, not only being, coming off of a loss, but again, this is a completely new beast of a machine that they have underneath them. So you have to mentally prepare yourself in a sense for that. And while racing in Formula One is definitely hard, but I think racing in Formula One and trying to fight for a championship, that thing, it brings it to a completely different
And,
level.
mhm. And like I said, it's gonna be a tough season for everybody. I feel like Mercedes is included in this is gonna be tough because, like I said, we saw what was going on in testing. We saw everything that was going on with them doing a whole new radical design, which threw everybody off, and
Everybody's
everybody was like, "What is
what's going
going
on,
on? Like, Mercedes, what are you doing? Is this legal? Is this
right?
legal?" It's like everybody's pointing fingers like this. Like everybody brought out their bucket. They're like, what's
Uh,
going on here? You know what I mean?
Especially
Because
Ferrari, and that surprised me a little bit, but it didn't when Ferrari were with
mind
the
you,
side pods and the mirrors.
dude. First of all, Ferrari, that surprised you with Ferrari, dude. Ferrari is known. This is what they're known for. Ferrari is known for. Hey, hey, hey. That doesn't look legal. That doesn't look legal.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. And then back in the day, when Ferrari had the flexing wing, and they were like, "Oh, what are you talking about? It was
What?
not flexing. That's how G-force works." And it's like,
You
come on,
know,
guys.
it's supposed to
Come on.
move. It's supposed to move
Yeah.
with the wind. It's
Come on.
it's articulating wind
Yeah.
veins.
Trust me, if there's one team who I know is going to protest, it's going to be Ferrari.
But
Don't
see,
get me
that's the
wrong.
thing, and that's why I'm hitting out against everybody that's, Mercedes is doing something completely, different. If the FIA seen that this was wrong when they presented it them to originally, they would have said, no, this, you cannot run this. But they're at least giving them the carte blanche to run it on the car, and then if there's enough protest, then they'll take a look at it. And that's
Mhm.
kind of which I'm kind of good that I'm glad that the FIA is taking that stance on it, and they're not just like, oh, this is immediately illegal, because it kind of put it towards like there was a few seasons back when they had the mirrors, and they were using the mirrors as aero packages for the sides, and that's 100% illegal. So you can't do that. But
Well, that's what they're complaining about now because they're saying that Mercedes is using special aerodynamic mirrors. So hey,
yeah,
what are they
again,
called? The spaceship mirrors. So
spaceship mirrors. Okay, well, but I mean, listen, Formula One is supposed to be about innovating, right? And I think Mercedes did that with this whole podless side pod Formula One car that got everybody shitting their britches.
And I think that's another thing that Mercedes is doing right now is that can I just say that I feel like they have everything ready. Like they have everything that they know what they're going to run. I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like they did this design just to see like, hey, what if? You know what I mean? Would we
True.
get away with it? Can we get away with it? You know what I mean? Because I just feel like, because in Formula One, the slightest little bit of aerodynamics always helps. So
Oh yeah,
like if you remove something, it changes the whole thing on the car.
absolutely.
You remove one thing, it changes that. You add this, it changes that. And with this, I mean, I feel like they have everything down. I feel like they have the data that they need. And yes, who wouldn't do with more testing? Because you want more testing, but
Absolutely.
I just feel like they're ready. I just feel like they're ready. In my heart, I feel like they're ready. I'm just gonna say in my heart. I feel like them, Red Bull, and Ferrari are ready.
If
Like
anybody,
I
I
think
think those three
McLaren is
teams.
ready. I just feel like McLaren is ready, but I feel like there's still some niggles in McLaren's McLaren is like I'm gonna say it, McLaren is moving like McLaren. Like they
Mhm.
look good, but they always have some kind of gremlin in them that gives them the problems. And it's always been like that for McLaren throughout the years. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Um.
that's
Yeah. I again, like you said, I think you definitely your likes of Mercedes, Red Bulls, and your Ferraris are going to be your front runners for this year, as they have in years past. with the mix of your McLarens every now and again, and so on and so forth. But definitely, I'm going to say that Aston Martin is going to definitely be fighting amongst that beyond three.
I'm giving you my green face from The Office.
So again, man, I have high hopes for the Green Machine, man. I think can I say I love delivery? This was kind of
Aston Martin. I mean, they've. I mean, okay. I feel like Aston Martin, they will be competitive. Yes, they will be competitive, but I don't know. There's just something throws me off about them.
Mhm.
I mean, and maybe I'm just living off the glory years of McLaren and Ferrari, and them just being who they are. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like even Dr. Vettel will tell you that because he inspects every car. You know what I mean?
Inspector Battle.
Exactly. And I don't know. We'll see. First race, you know what I mean? Like I said, I just want to see the first race.
I want to see the first race because I want to see who has got it right from the get-go.
Mhm.
And that will give you a clear onset of seeing about who needs to add or who needs to work a lot harder and who pretty much just needs to tweak a little bit here and there and there, and they have everything dialed in. Again, first couple laps is going to be nail biters because new machines and everybody coming up to turn one. That's going to be interesting.
And I mean, like I said, we're going to see it in FP3 when that comes up. I think the first practice sessions are going to be very crucial. I think qualifying, you're just going to see everyone throw the gloves off, and you're going to see who's competitive.
You're going to see those sandbags come all the way off.
Yes, and the lead plating that they had hidden in the floor, and the restricted engines that they had. I just feel like that's pretty much what you're going to see is all come up. I feel like they're saying that these cars are going to be slower, but you know what I mean? Tell you what's going to happen. It's going to be like back in the day when you remember when Porsche and everybody said that they were going to run these like different ideal cars, and it's going to be slower around the track. And what's going to happen is the cars started off slow, but then they became like super quick, and they're like the fastest cars you've seen. And I think that's probably what's going to happen because they're going to get the aerodynamics so good, it's going to be madness, bro.
But that's what they designed these cars for this year, to be able to follow more closer. So there's going to be a lot more closer racing, and inevitably we're going to get faster as the cars develop and teams again figure out how these new cars are working on these certain tracks, because once you have a certain amount of tracks underneath your belt, you kind of have a good median to go off of for every other track that you're going to come across, because majority of these tracks are kind of built similar to each other in a sense where a lot of they share a lot of the features. But again, so moving on here, kind of wrapping things up, who top three teams that you're gonna put this season that you're gonna want to follow?
First things first, I'm not gonna include my favorite because
we're gonna follow them regardless, so we can't.
There's no question about that. But the three teams I'm gonna be looking out for, I'm definitely gonna be watching out for Ferrari because I feel like Charles Leclerc is gonna really do something this season. I'm also gonna be looking at I'm gonna be watching Latifi for Williams. I just want to see what he's going to do. I feel like he'll probably change it up, and then I'm going to be looking at Ralph Schumacher. I feel like he's going to. I feel like he's on the stage of. I mean, of course he's not going to be his dad. His dad is always that great, but I just want to see what he's going to do. I'm going to see what he's going to do. I really just want to see like what he has, because this is going to be his second season in, and this is going to be his make it or break it. It's either he's going to show how competitive he is and put the car, that much higher, or he's just going to fizzle away like a lot of the other drivers who've been in the sport. You know what I mean? So those that's just me. I'm going to be watching those. I mean, honestly, I just want to really see what Williams has, because I feel like, they got Albon, they have Latifi. I just want to see what they're going to do. Like, I feel like everybody else is going to do what they do, you know what I mean, competitively, but I just feel like changing it up, seeing what these mid-pack cars got.
Cool. That's definitely some good choices in terms of drivers there. So I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye out on McLaren. I really not just the individual drivers, because I think both Lando Norris and Ricardo are going to, they're great drivers in themselves. I think Lando, he has a lot to in a sense prove.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is going to be his third season.
Mm-hmm. What,
So
Lando? I think this Lando's third.
yeah, so I think it's Lando's third season. So, and now it's kind of one of those, you're getting to that point where you're no longer a rookie, so you can't use those excuses anymore. And now you're seasoned, so you're gonna have to kind of now start to show up and shut out, or shut up. And Ricardo, same thing. It's his like sixth season, and he's his sixth season and third team. So at this point, I think, again, if he doesn't do what he needs to do this season, I think they're going to start to kind of look to switch him out before they do Lando. So
yeah, okay. I mean, and who you got for your second?
The second team here, I want to follow Haas. I think that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, pick a driver. Gotta pick a driver.
Magnussen. I want to see what he's going to come in back and do, because they gave him the wrong the wrong deal. With doing away with him.
Did they give him a raw deal? I mean, he kind of was. Be truthful, he was an okay driver when he was there. I mean, he was way better than what his dad was. I mean,
but
his dad really didn't get the recognition until he went into GT racing. But I mean, I just feel like, he's okay.
He's a Magnussen, man. Let him be. Let him rock. But
okay.
I think I think he should be interesting. I want to see him because, again, he hasn't been in the sport for what, 2 years now. So it's interesting to come and see what he's going to do in a brand new machine.
Has it been 2 years?
Yeah, because it was.
I'm trying to think when was the accident? Wasn't he racing with them when what's his name had the accident? Grosjean had the accident. So I would say that it was about
2019.
2019, okay. 2019.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, 2019. So that's about 2 seasons. So then that's 2. Kevin Magnussen with the Haas. And like I said, Lando in the McLaren. And I want to see what my boy Bottas is gonna do, and in the Alfa Romero. Interesting to see Bottas being now a team leader in a sense, because he's gonna be the veteran on the team. He's gonna have the carte blanche to make the team.
You know this, and I'm saying this truthfully. You know this. You know that whoever has the money is going to get all the new upgrades before anyone else. You know that's how it works.
Again, yes, but can I have high hopes and hope to say that they're going to be fair? I don't think there's going to be. I don't think with this team that they can afford to have a 1 and 2.
I'll give it to you. I won't even. Yeah, that's your guy.
They can't afford to have a 1 and 2.
I'm just saying personally. I just know that I just don't want them to give him the raw deal, because I feel like he should be good. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you threw him in a Alpine, I think he'd be up there. I think he could prove himself. But
I think he's gonna do what he should be doing. But speaking about and Alpines and Esteban Ocon, that's the interesting one.
Yeah, Ocon, he's good. I mean, he's got what, a win? He's got what, 1 win under his belt.
He's got to win. He's got to win. Man, he did 111 laps on the last day. He was definitely pushing some laps. But all right. So again, mine's Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris McLaren. Kevin Magnussen of the Haas, and Valtteri Bottas with Alfa Romero. So that's what I'm going to be looking out for this season. Besides the obvious, number 44. So
Look, all I'm saying is that I just can't wait for the race. What is it this week? So it's going to be a lot of racing this week. There's going to be a lot of racing because, I know this is an F1 podcast, but I'm just thinking about all the racing because you got to think about it. Like Sebring is coming up this week.
Yeah.
There's a
12 hours
lot
of Sebring, right?
A lot of racing, a couple GT races coming up this week, so it's gonna be interesting. But we know what our bread and butter is.
Yeah, I mean, so
12 hours of Sebring. No, I'm joking. no. But no, definitely, I'm gonna be set. I'm ready. DVR.
Listen, I'm gonna get my DVR back from Spectrum for like a hot two months.
I mean, but if you have the app, the ESPN app, if you have it, you should be good.
Yeah, no, I got the ESPN app. I was pulling my I'm not paying no $26.99 for a DVR.
Yeah, and then also we're gonna have our once every couple of race guest.
We got some special. Got some real New Yorker for you. So get ready for the years and the Timberland boots and Yankee fitteds. All right.
And the shorts that come down past your shin.
Right. So, but yeah, like I said, next week should be interesting. Just look out for us. We're definitely going to be posting up all the social medias and everything else. So yeah. Anything else you want to touch on before we kind of wrap up and tell people where to catch us on next?
No. But what I would say is that we're definitely new to this. We're not reporters. We're not, I'm not going to say we're journalists or anything like that. We're just two guys that just love racing. Formula One and love racing and just love it in general. So, if you enjoy it, we always say like and subscribe.
Thank you for first off coming and listening to us talk about Formula One. It's definitely a new experience for both of us, and I'm definitely willing to ride this wave and see where it takes us. So again, thank you for listening to the Biased but Not Biased F1 podcast. We're going to give you the real, but we're going to be honest with you and ourselves.
What's that saying? If you think we're being biased, you're probably right, and if you think we're not being biased, you're probably still right. But this is definitely our podcast, and check us out.
All right, man. Cool. Catch you later, man.
Catch you later. Have a good day, guys.